Now, I've talked about my history with the Saga series before on this channel, but I have made it clear that I never played the ones that were on the Game Boy. Now, I know what you're thinking. How? Aren't you a fan of the series? Well, that I most certainly am. But there were a little bit before my time. And on top of that, didn't know them as Saga back then, knew them as the Final Fantasy Legend. And I owned a Game Boy as a kid, but I didn't have these games. I was playing Tasmania and Tetris. But if we fast forward a couple decades later, as I stated before, romancing Saga Reuniverse enters my life. And this is my full-on introduction to all of these strange, unique, and interesting characters and worlds, but it helped kickstart my interest at the romancing trilogy. But thanks to the limited events in RSRS, I ended up learning about Final Fantasy Legend, or Makai Toshi Saga as it is called in Japan, with such cool characters as Human Male, Human Female, Esper Girl, Sensei, Creator. Okay. Simple, I see. Well, now that I've finally gotten into these games, I want to talk about them with you for a little bit. Yes, I do know there are ways to play them, and yes, I know there are a couple of deluxe versions that the internet has made, but I went with the collection of Saga, which you can grab on Switch, PC, and other platforms to play. Features all 3 Game Boy games, and even has their Japanese versions there if you're looking to play in a different language. So sit back as I tell you about this elder statesman of a JRPG and how we ended up here today. The Final Fantasy Legend got its start right after Final Fantasy II had its run, and you know what that means. The man himself, Akitoshi Kawazu, had his hands on this one. This is basically where the Saga series kicks off. The president of Square at the time, Masafumi Miyamoto, was looking for something that could go on the Game Boy since he noticed how popular Tetris was at the time alongside the system. It took Kawazu and his partner at the time, Koichi Ishii, to come up with the decision to give us an RPG instead of something that was close to what Tetris was. It kind of makes you wonder what would have come out of them had they went the Tetris route. But they had the mind to make a game that would last you about 6 to 8 hours and give you a means of being able to play it in short bursts. It fits within the usual Saga style of being a little difficult and being a little more on the complex side, which was the goal from Kawazu. Well, I can't say this. He did achieve that goal and he achieved it well. And it definitely helped separate it from his bigger, more famous RPG brother at Square, Final Fantasy. The Final Fantasy Legend is about a set of heroes looking to climb up a tower that is smack in the center of their world that was made by the creator himself. This tower is believed to lead up to paradise. It even has quite a few worlds in place between the tower's base and within its form. Our heroes start out in the world of Continent where there are 3 kings battling out for the main items to grab power. The Sword King, the Shield King, and the Armor King. Not that one. You have to kill off the Sword King to get the sword from him. Armor King gives you his item out of gratitude for helping him with the girl that he loves. And Shield King, well, he was done in by someone he supposedly trusted, but you gotta kill that man to get the shield. So go kill him and you can walk forward. Now, once you have all 3 items, you take those to the statue in a town to open up the tower, but you're then stopped by one of the 4 archfiends, Genbu. You beat him, then start traversing the tower, and mind you, time in this place doesn't move normally across. It leads to some places being more technologically advanced than others, and some lesser so. It's a long trek up with the archfiends in the way, doing their own crimes against humanity, but you and your ragtag crew of heroes are here to stop them. Byako is attempting to gain even more power. Suzaku is terrorizing a post-apocalyptic Tokyo, and you can't kill him fully until you get this techno MacGuffin. Or you'd have to use a saw, and I mean a chainsaw, to kind of keep him at bay before you can get the techno MacGuffin. We'll talk about that a little bit later, I'm assuming. Seiryu is controlling the waters in one land. It is a large-scale mess going up this tower to get to the root of these issues and get these spears to help you proceed. But soon you start to meet this man, a very well-dressed man with a top hat and all. He gives you hints that lead to what you should be doing, but you see him a little too often as you're going up this tower. Even after beating the legendary Ashura, you almost reach the top door, only to get sent plummeting back to the world of Continent. With all 4 spears, you open up the tower doors again, and this time you're facing the archfiends one more time, one by one, just to get to the top. And it's the dapper man you've been seeing. You learn that he is the creator. He's basically God in this world. Don't you love how RPGs go from one thing, you go helping somebody with their love life, and now you're fighting God? I love that trope. You now have to face him down to see. You now have to face him down since he's told you that this was just all a game to him, to see heroes defeat evil. Interesting choice of words there. Anyways, he's decided he wants to reward you by giving you control of each world in that tower, but your team declines and just flat out deletes his ass from the universe, which then leads to us wondering, do we cross this door up here at the top of the tower, or do we go back to our own world? We end up doing the latter, and the game itself ends. Pretty simple story if I had to say so myself. Nothing too crazy, nothing too out of the ordinary, just we have to go and kill God because he's doing too much. Now, I don't know what you may be thinking here in the case of this game being on the Game Boy, but I gotta admit, it is quite a feat to have such a JRPG set on this handheld, but being a fan of the Saga series as a whole, I see where a lot of the series quirks come from, where some of the games may have borrowed, plus how we ended up getting to the rest of the series and how it plays. But anyways, you start the game by picking the race of your character that you want to be at the start. Then you walk into a guild and get your 3 other characters to begin the journey. You can choose from humans, mutants, or espers as they are known now, and some creatures. We'll explain these a little bit later. This is a turn-based RPG too, so just like in future titles in the series, you aren't really given direction as how to start. You gotta talk to the NPCs to get the info you need to get the game rolling. Then you can start exploring the world of continent. There are towns with the inns, shops, and a house of life. That's where you go to resurrect your characters if they die in battle. I'll explain that a little bit later too. There are random encounters in this game, unlike in later Saga titles where the enemies are present on screen for you to choose to fight or not. Now mind you, this being a Game Boy game, you won't see all of your enemies on the screen. But the game will feature a number next to their name, so you'll know what you're dealing with on screen. You pick your actions and then everything plays out like so. Pretty simple going forward, right? Well, I got a lot to talk about in the face of these things here, so let me begin elaborating quite a bit on the many facets of this game. Now, this game was made with advanced gameplay from the devs for the Game Boy, and to help separate it from Final Fantasy. It's a harder game as well. I've said this before earlier, but let's get into what that really means. So remember when I said you can choose who you begin with and who your other 3 members are, right? So this game gives you 8 choices to start with. 2 humans, 2 mutants, espers, and 4 creatures. Not a large selection, but I will say that who you choose for your party members will decide how hard this game is from the onset. Humans are as standard as can be. No mana to use from the start, but can equip whatever weapons necessary to get the job done. Their stats don't really raise as you fight though. You have to buy items to raise their stats like strength, agility, and HP, aside from armor raising defense and the rare mana raising stats from certain items that you end up finding. Now, mutants fall in the same category, except their stats actually go up on their own behind fighting, and they have mana usage straight from the gate, meaning that spells favor them more. Plus, they gain random spells in their repertoire as they fight too, which is really helpful sometimes, and then other times a detriment when you end up with a lot of ESP in the lineup. Creatures are multifaceted in their own way. They start out with their own set of skills, but they can transform. How do you ask? Well, they eat the meat of defeated enemies. Sometimes it does nothing, and other times you transform into something more powerful or unique. Meat has no effect on humans or mutants, but it is a great way to keep them in the party, especially if you find them running low on health. Eat a piece of meat from a defeated enemy, and they go right back to normal status with a new form. Now, humans and mutants can equip things. Creatures cannot. Everything in this game has a usage amount. So when the amount is gone, so is said weapon, shield, or item. There is a way to fix those items from being used up, but that item is majorly expensive, so you would be better off buying new ones till much later in the game when the game awards you more money for your time for every fight. Your inventory is also very small in this game too. Only 8 slots, so you have to balance it to make this game go smoothly, because there are also key items as well. Now, on the topic of combat, very straightforward, but please understand these things about the systems from here on out as I am explaining them to you. With this being a Game Boy game, there are plenty of things you are not going to get info on unless you look it up. But here I am to tell you some of these things in case you didn't know. Aside from the normal HP, you also have hearts. What are these hearts, you ask? Well, they're basically your lives, Each time your party member dies, you have to go get them revived at the House of Life for 100 GP. That's the in-game currency. No need to worry, because as you fight, you'll be swimming in this stuff, as you don't gain experience in this game per se. But if you run out of hearts, that character is effectively dead, and you have two choices. Either replace them at the guild, or buy a heart so you can actually revive them again. The problem? The hearts cost 10,000 GP. So you best be careful in the early runnings with your team comp. And some things flat out don't work on certain enemies. And I mean, elemental weaknesses aside, there are weapons and spells that just will not affect those specific enemies. And you know how bosses operate at this point, right? Yeah, so that's really all there is to this, if I had to say so myself. Now, I want to go ahead and get a few other things out of the way, because we pretty much want to get ready to close the review out with a few of my thoughts about the game, plus some things I want to warn y'all about. But in this game here, the soundtrack, for the time, was done by the great Nobuo Uematsu. He is very good for this game, I kid you not. And you know, back in the day, they had to work around some good old limitations, but they succeeded in nailing the music through battle, exploring, and for a couple of moments here and there as well. Well done, and some are a little earwormy, if you will. I'll play a couple snippets here and there for you. You've heard some throughout the video, but I'll play some of the other things like the battle themes and whatnot. Now, Final Fantasy Legend controls very well for me. I have really no issues with how it plays, aside from the cursor memory in the game, because you can't hold A to fast forward things, but if you do that in a battle, you're liable to have yourself just throwing out attacks you don't want to throw out too often, so it ends up leading to you maybe hitting the wrong thing and the fight lasting longer than it should, and you may just die. But on the subject of battles, I need to tell y'all that the encounter rate in this game is absurdly high. Sometimes it feels really weird. There were times during my sessions where I felt like I was getting not too many fights, or I was getting like a normal amount of fights. Like I could take a few steps, get one, take another few steps, get one, maybe take a longer walk and get another fight. But then there were some times where I was like, one fight, win, 2 steps, fight, next fight, next fight. It felt like I was fighting left and right in that game. It felt like the game was trying to punish me for something, and I have no idea what the hell I may have done to this game to hurt it, but it was trying to hurt me. And it gets even worse when you get to the latter section of the game, where you're making the final ascent up the tower to go meet the creator. The enemies in that section hit hard. And they also bring status ailments to the table in the form of sleep, stone, paralyzed, all of that. And mind you, those status ailments do not go away even if you go to an end. Well, sleep does at the end of a fight. But stone and paralyzed? Yeah. I don't see you making it out of there unless you choose to leave. And on top of that, the escape rate is extremely weird. It has its moments where it will not allow you to live through a fight, and it will just flat out kill you. You could try to escape 5 times in a fight and you will not make it out. There will be times where it will let you escape 5 fights in a row, and you can just get to where you have to go, no harm, no foul. Now, mind you, I have said that this game is hard, but it can be pretty easy if you got the right equipment, everything on the right people, and your party composition is in good order once you start getting the game rolling. Now, another gripe I have with this game, that inventory size and the key items. Now, I know what you're thinking. Why would the inventory size be a problem? This is an old game. Yes, I know. 8 items. But here's the part of it that really messes with me, because it can get you as the player if you don't know it. In your inventory, you can throw things away in the event that you don't need them anymore, or if like an item has like a low amount of usage, you can throw it away, right? So hear me out. You can also throw away key items, and key items are important to move the game along. Now, I'll give the game this. In a lot of cases, you can go back and get those key items. No harm, no foul, because they're still going to be in places where you can grab them, right? Cool. But there's one item in the game you can't, and it's called Erase 99, and it's meant for the boss Suzaku in the ruined in like this ruined Japan area. You have to make this item by getting 2 other items from like a major quest with a certain character that's there. You go do that for him, come back, and he's gonna tell you we need 1 more part to make this to get rid of Suzaku's shield. When you go get that item, you can't get it again. And the reason why I say that is because the character that is helping you get to that, he dies. Helping you get there. And then you have to fight the war mech there. Once you fight him and get that item from that war mech, you make the next item when it flashes you back to the town. You have that item plus the previous 2. Do throw the previous 2 items away. Do not throw away Erase 99. If you throw that away, just start the whole game over. Because at that point, you're stuck and you can't fight Suzaku. Besides the things that did irk me a bit with this game, I do want to be a bit lenient towards it because it is the first of the Saga series. I think this game really shows a lot of the foundation that leads to what we end up getting later within its series. Now, you can take a good 10 to 12 hours, at least on my behalf anyways, I say that, to knock this game out. It's definitely meant to be played in short bursts. You don't have to marathon it to enjoy it. It has its place and you'll be in and out before you know it. And if I could recommend it to you, yeah, I can. But under the condition that you go get the collection of Saga, which is on most modern platforms, do that there, play it that way. And I would recommend the remaster that is on the WonderSwan color. I would. But the problem with that is that I don't think it has any English translations yet, so pay me no mind. So the collection of Saga is the way to go, especially since it has a speed up button that allows you to move things along, because I do think the game can kind of plod with the text speed and so on. So, but it is one of the early founding fathers of the handheld RPG, and it goes on sale quite a bit with the rest of the Saga series on the current platform. So if you do see it, give it a shot if you've been curious. Well, that's enough out of me. I think we may go and give Final Fantasy Legend 2 a shot, and that more than likely will be the next review. So I hope to see y'all on the other side, okay? It's been backlogbilliam. Play those games, level up, and clear those backlogs. I love you. And take care, alright? Peace.